Well, folks, here we are. It's Saturday, October 12th. And,
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Not the happiest, obviously, but, life goes on.
Life goes on. No, you're right. I mean, I will say this as a birthday present. This was an unexpected birthday present in the first place for the Tigers to be here. So I'll take that all day, every day. Listening to the Tiger Minor League Report / Motor City Metrics podcast, the final postseason podcast wrap up. Just a real quick venting session for anybody out there. As the Tigers lose, it was a 7-4 or 7-3. 7-3 was the final. As Cleveland the Tigers just ran out of gas. There's nothing, let me just say this. For anybody out there who's been watching this team for the last 5 or 6 years, this has been a blast to watch. A lot of good baseball. There's nothing. The Tigers, Kerry Carpenter, even with that big hit, and was able to hobble, not have a Kirk Gibson-like moment, but he still had a big moment. And you saw some things doing, Torque with a couple hits today. Cole Keith had a nice hit. But there's nothing you can, to me, nothing you can do to distinguish this season. They just have to go and continue to build the team, build some right-handed bats. Emmanuel Class A, staring down Kerry Carpenter when it mattered. You can get mad about that, but it's fine. But overall, a hell of a season. One hell of a season. It is tough to see the dream die. Now you have Cleveland taking on New York. So number 1 versus number 2, but Cleveland's really good. Lane Thomas came through. It was a great series, Chris, overall.
Yeah, it was unfortunately these last 2 games were you got to see the cracks in the Tigers' armor a little bit. I think they went 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position in game 4. I mean, that was the game to win, right? You win the game 4 at home. You don't come back to Cleveland. You don't worry about it. And then today was 1 inning got away from them, really. And it was to me, the story of the series comes down to you look at the OPS of the hitters in both lineups, and Cleveland's had 5 guys that were above 800, I think, or close to 800, and it was their number 9 hitter, Rocchio, who was a pest, and then their 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters. Those guys came through when it mattered the most. The Tigers, their best OPS was Justin Henry Malloy, was a part-time player, and then it was Parker Meadows, who was just a little bit over 800. They did not come through. Even Kerry Carpenter's OPS was like 750. They just, Cleveland really attacked him with elevated fastballs, and that seems to be, his weakness. Now, if you make a mistake, he can make you pay, but it just the Tigers just didn't have enough offense in the end, and we knew that coming in. That was the way it was down the stretch. They just kept winning these games 4-3, 2-1, things like that. And we saw again their other strange weakness today, an inability to cash in runs against starting pitchers for whatever reason. They had multiple chances against Boyd, couldn't get it done, and they scrapped. I mean, I give them a ton of credit. I gave up on the season after Skubal gave up the grand slam. I'm like, well, it's over. And the Tigers had a couple more chances to get back into the game. They just couldn't get that big hit, but they kept fighting. And that was kind of the story of the season all year long. They just didn't have quite enough gas.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, just to start with, it's been such a wonderful run. It's been great. It's really hard to be too sad. But yes, the mediocrity of the offense in general really showed itself in this series. And Chris just did a great job laying it all out, so I won't try to go through the whole thing. But, when it comes to, they're just always been a little deficient on power. They didn't have enough big flies in the tank to, get back into some of the games that they lost. And that's just how it's going to be. Now, the one thing that, it's hard to say anything bad about Tarek Skubal, but for a first pitch fastball hitter like Lane Thomas, that he laid that in there, I could not believe it. I mean, that'll linger with me a while. But again, the reason they're there is Tarek Skubal too. So, but that was, was he trying to throw it there? Did he just hit a bad spot? I don't know, but it was gone.
Yeah, I mean, I expect or I suspect that he was not trying to throw it middle. It was a sinker. I think he was basically obviously that moment got to him. Hitting Jose Ramirez is not the sort of thing we've seen Scooble do this year with the bases loaded. Like it just the pressure was there.
Yeah.
And he's trying to roll up a double play, and it's a completely different series, but just missed his spot, I think. And Lane Thomas, 2 giant swings in the series, and honestly, that's kind of all it took.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Joe Sheehan, the guy who writes the newsletter, his big saying in the postseason is "Ball go far, team go far."
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of truth to that statement right there. And the Guardians put more balls in the seats than the Tigers. The Tigers had 3 balls off the fence today. A couple more feet on some of those, and we got a different ball game.
Yeah.
Torkelson had one of his better at bats we've seen. Really battled Smith, and then had that awesome double that I thought was a home run, and then Carpenter's I thought was a home run, and it just didn't quite work out.
So as far as like podcasting goes, we'll probably do Monday. We'll probably do like a season wrap up show. Right now it's just for people to kind of immediate reaction here, because I'm actually going to start my evening here shortly, and but I just wanted to thank everybody who has been tuning in during these postseason run the last couple of weeks or so, as we've been doing these shows immediately after the game, and felt that win, lose, draw, whatever was going to happen, it was just important to do this, because there's a lot to be grateful for. I mean, in terms of like this baseball season. And so the Yankees, and props to the Yankees too, taking care of the Royals too. And Royals were an upstart too. And that's going to be, it is really weird to see the series now being these 3 major markets and then Cleveland in there. And at the same time, everybody, as far as baseball goes, I'm not going to lie, I'm probably going to tune out. I might tune into I'll probably tune in the World Series, but I'm gonna take a series off, because it's been a lot. I mean, if you look at like I said, like we looked at my fingernails, and just the amount of baseball consumption in the last month or so is between that and everything else. It's just been it's been fun, and I think everybody. Thank you, Matt, Elton, all the donations this year. I know it sounds sad. Look, I'm sad because they lost today. That's the only reason why. I mean, it was sad to see the dream die down. I mean, that's it. I mean, honestly, but other than that, look, we all have perspective here. We all know the Tigers have good minor league depth. They proved it this year. I feel really good, because some of the things that we were been discussing with some of these players come to fruition. And so it's not being cocky or anything, but it just kind of proves that we know what we're talking about as a collective here. And there's a lot to be happy about. But right now and also I think the fact that Thursday was such a tough loss there too, and seeing that in person, I know it just is brutal. But Cleveland, I mean, props to Cleveland. They are a good team. I mean, this team was very evenly matched with the the Guardians. The Guardians had more offense, and that was clear. Steve Kwan, it just is a beast. And again, you hope that the Tigers can just get some right-handed consistency. There's a lot of things that we can go over, but we'll go over that on Monday.
Yeah, there's no reason for Tigers. I mean, obviously you're going to be bummed out. You don't get these chances all the time, but nobody thought the Tigers would have this chance. This is the second time they've lost back-to-back games since the start of September, and the only other time was against the White Sox when everybody was drunk and not trying. But before that, you have to go back to the San Diego series. So they played amazing baseball for a long time. This is great experience for all these guys. Hopefully, they definitely came out tight today, or anxious or something. So many swings and misses. Riley Green making an error in left field.
Sweeney too, a little bit.
Sweeney making an error. Yeah, they're just. I think the moment got to a lot of them. But like we said, they kept fighting back. Parker Meadows had a really strong series, despite he didn't really crush the ball or anything like that, but played really well.
Jake Rogers too.
Jake Rogers had a great series. There are a lot of young guys who played well, and Tigers, youngest team in baseball, right? There's no guarantee you get back here. They do have a lot of building they need to do, but you've got 7 top 100 prospects. You've got the best record in minor league baseball this year. There's a lot to build on here, and now it's up to Scott Harris to kind of make the right decisions, to make sure that this isn't just like a one-off miracle, and that they keep contending in the future, because there's no reason they can't. We've seen Cleveland keeps doing this. In Cleveland, we can complain about their BABIPs and their little weak hits, but that's how they're built. They're BABIP all the way down to rookie ball. This is how they're built, and the Tigers are forming that identity too. Yeah. It's only been a couple years. Cleveland's had this identity for 15 years now, basically. So the Tigers are going to get there, but yeah, just some room to grow and plenty of talent to do it, and just need to add a few powerful right-handed bats that are plentiful in this offseason. So we'll see what happens.
At the end of the day, too, this series really boils down to what we see in the playoffs so often over the years is an unsung hero, a guy like Rocchio, who is, quantifiably not a great hitter, really went off and added something that they usually don't have to their offense. And that was such a big difference. The Tigers didn't really have a guy who did what he did in the series from that level. If Sweeney had a big series or something like that. But that's how baseball goes. And the Tigers get in the playoff. If they can keep this going and get back to the playoffs next year, they might be that team who takes that next step. So we'll just have to see. Yeah.
And I would say it earlier, Kevin McGonigal is basically Stephen Kwan at second base. So, probably won't be too long before he's doing things like that in Detroit, as long as everybody can stay healthy. So it's just not quite the Tigers' time yet, but we'll see.
Jackson Jobe will have a strikeout next year.
Yeah. Jackson, yes, he did. And you know what? He was getting some swings and misses there when he pitched the other day. That's a guy, you're looking at him probably joining the rotation to start next year, along with Schubel and Olsen, and who knows? There's a lot of good things heading into next year, and it was just nice for Detroit to remember how much fun it is to play meaningful baseball games, for everybody to get behind the Tigers again. Yes. As we've been shoveling out of this for 10 years, and we've been doing podcast after podcast, like, this guy, now it's here. Everybody realizes it, so hopefully they can build on this in the future.
Look, kudos to AJ Hinch for me too. I think the guy did one hell of a job. It's really remarkable.
Yeah. No, and Hinch deserves some manager of the year votes for what he did with this roster. And as we too mentioned here, there's a lot of young players on team control. They don't have a lot of free agents, if anything. I think they may have one or two restricted free agents, I believe. Go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
Sorry. I was just noticing a kind of a funny statistical thing. Like Skubal, gave up the 5 runs today. It was a rough outing for him. Still finished the playoffs with a 2.37 ERA, which is his season-long ERA 2.39. He was still Tarek Skubal, just cluster luck.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I look at it this way. This has been some really good, exciting postseason baseball across the board. So I think the Tigers will. Going into the offseason, there's going to be a lot more chatter. There's going to be a lot more talk. We'll stay on top of it, but I'm just stoked that we're doing a show right now in October. I know that sounds like a simple little thing, but you have to understand something, folks, that when the season's usually over by mid-September, as it hasn't always been the case, but it has been the case the last few odd years or so, it is going to be nice. And the national media treated the Tigers like a curiosity a little bit. I thought the Tigers on TBS got a lot more. I thought the TBS coverage, I thought Brian Anderson was really good too. I thought Jeff Francoeur, it was overall really good. It was better than having Costas in the booth or something like that, to that effect.
No question.
So the division is going to get better. The Tigers and Cleveland are going to be rivals. And they were, it reflected in the minor leagues. Remember, Akron played at Akron's AA affiliate of the Guardians. They played Erie in the playoffs. Erie won that, and Lake County won the championship in the Midwest League, and they beat West Michigan soundly. So this is a rivalry that's starting in the minors and continue up here. And I know there's the Twins are going to. I think the ownerships that they're going to announce are going to be selling. So there's a lot of things in the division that are changing. So as long as the Tigers continue to adapt, they're fine. So, but I felt like everybody was happy that the Tigers beat Houston because Houston was advancing. So there you go. It's with that. And either way, I'm gonna get out of here, folks, because I'm just to me,
your birthday.
I'm gonna go. Well, thank you. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna enjoy this. But I just really want to thank everybody who's tuned in all season long between the Motor City Metrics podcast, and between this and Tiger Mile Report, we're going to be starting the TV situation. We'll have to talk about that too. There's going to be more of an in-depth show on Monday. So we'll bring back everybody on Monday and we'll talk about the season in general. And we're looking to make some changes to the website. And like I said, in next year, we'll be back at spring training. The whole Patreon thing will start, or GoFundMe, all that stuff will start up again. But for now, really enjoy this offseason and take comfort knowing that the Tigers at least are competitive, and they gave us 500 baseball. To me, that was one of the goals this year. Get to 500.
Yeah.
The other two goals, win a playoff series, didn't expect that. Get to the ALDS, didn't expect that either. So, but any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Absolutely nothing to complain about this year. Nothing. Some of the most enjoyable baseball of my lifetime, and happy to share it with everybody. Thanks everybody for joining us for all this, and let's do it again next year.
Yeah,
agreed. Between the 5-0 start, the 17-13 start, that was fun. This ending, again, I've been around. I was around for the '84 World Series. I was 15 years old. This last 2 months was, to me, right there with the 35-5 start of '84. And, I never thought I'd live through something like that again. And this was close enough. I mean, maybe not as good, but it was close enough. So, I want to thank the Tigers with all they did. Thank you guys. This has been fun. But hey, it was going to end. The World Series wasn't in our cards this year, and we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. And again, stay classy. Again, this would have been cool to have John along with us, but nevertheless, we'll be back Monday, full show, kind of like I said, season end perspective, and just kind of go deeper in little things. So until then, have a great rest of the weekend. The Lions play tomorrow, so there's that. Michigan's on a bye week. I think Michigan State are both on a bye week. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. And for everybody who's in the Florida area, stay safe. And thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.
Good,